Las opiniones vertidas en este podcast son responsabilidad exclusivamente de los participantes, que seguramente no son expertos en el tema que están por hablar, pero les encanta emitir su opinión acerca de todo. Y aunque estén equivocados, por eso se van a ser responsables de todo lo que digan. Come frutas y verduras.
Queremos explicar la clase del maestro que estuvo ausente, la plática que no tuviste en casa, nosotros la respuesta a la duda más sencilla, la sugerencia de la semana y tu compañía en el trabajo, en el gimnasio, en la escuela y en el transporte público. Nosotros el barrio. Los ojos de quien nunca ha viajado, la voz de quien ha salido adelante a pesar de las adversidades, el lugar donde contemos tu historia. Nosotros el barrio.
¿Qué tal? Bienvenidos al podcast número 40. Bienvenida a toda la gente de Nosotros el Barrio. El día de hoy tenemos un capítulo seguramente interesante para todos aquellos que estén leyendo el título de este audio. Y para los que estén descargando este capítulo, seguramente a algunos se les hará extraño, a algunos no. Es el primer intento de Nosotros el Barrio por hablar en inglés en un podcast con un invitado, pues vamos a decirlo, de talla internacional. Ahorita lo van a conocer más acerca de su proyecto. Estamos grabando este podcast tal cual con los sonidos de una cafetería en la barra del café en Avenida Chapultepec, esquina con Avenida La Paz en Guadalajara, Jalisco. Ahora sí estamos transmitiendo bien desde Guadalajara, no desde Zapopan. Y creo que es un ejercicio bastante interesante. Fíjense que yo había estado viendo algunos videos, soy muy adicto a ver videos en YouTube y cada vez más sigo una tendencia que hay, que son los travelers o la gente viajera, y me emociona mucho ver que hay mucha gente que está viajando, no nada más ellos o con sus amigos, sino también empiezan a viajar con sus parejas, con sus familias, sus hijos, etc. Y ahora descubrí este canal, estoy con el dueño del canal, que de hecho vamos a hablar con él y está aquí a mi lado. Voy a cambiar ya de ahora en adelante a inglés y desde este momento ofrezco disculpas si mi inglés no es perfecto, pero pues vamos a hacer el intento. Okay, I found a YouTube video about a Mexican wedding. That thumbnail catch my attention and I start to watch some video. However, I started to think that La Víbora de la Mar is really a strange thing to explain to people that are not from Mexico. So I realized the importance of rediscover my country through the eyes of an American citizen, seeing the extraordinary in the ordinary thing for us. So right now, right here, Jon Barr from New York City to the world, here in Nosotros el Barrio. Welcome, Jon. How are you?
Estoy muy bien, muchas gracias, Fede, para invitarme. Hablo algo de español, pero we could do this in English. My Spanish isn't that great. I'm doing really well, and I appreciate you thinking of me and having me on your podcast. I'm excited to be here doing this. I'm excited to be in Guadalajara, ready for any questions you have.
Great, Jon. I think it is very interesting for me to have you as a YouTube creator right now. I think the movement of YouTubers is growing in, I don't know how to say it, massively. It is amazing how it is. Actually, I was seeing a Mexican YouTuber, and he said that Latin America is like the capital of the internet, but Mexico is like Hollywood for the YouTubers. I don't know if you feel that way.
It's interesting because I will say as an American that my average vlog in the United States does not get as much attention typically, as my average vlog in Mexico does, I think coming from the United States, you have a certain perspective, you have a different culture, and when people hear what I have to say, what you said before made a lot of sense. You're watching it again from somebody else's eyes, and I think it almost makes you appreciate where you come from more.
Yeah. Actually, that's the reason I start to watch videos from Mexico through the eyes of other people, because I love to realize the place where I stand, or the place where I am living, because I think my country, Mexico, it's beautiful, and it is so rich in so many things. But I don't know if many of us as Mexican complain all the time about everything, and see the beautiful of Chapultepec Avenue, the flavor of torta ahogada. It's good to know, and it's good to know that someone else is appreciating our culture and our food, and it is very, very interesting for us. And I think there are a lot of us, because you say that your community here in Mexico is growing, and I think there are a lot of people like me that love to see how other people talk about our country. I don't know if Americans think the same, or do you love to watch blogs about people talking about US or New York City?
I'll be honest with you, I don't think I'm that interested in foreigners' opinions about the United States. Only because I think the U.S. is so multicultural to begin with, especially New York City. But I will say this, when I have people visiting me in New York and they're impressed with stuff and they're looking at buildings and streets for the first time with these wide eyes, I tend to feel the same way you do, that, you know what, maybe I complain too much about my city, and maybe this is an amazing place, and it takes somebody else to remind you of that. So I don't watch too many other people's opinions of New York, but every once in a while a video will catch my attention, and I will watch it, and I will think the same thing, like, wow, that was a point of view I didn't think of.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and I didn't think about it, that one thing that you said it right now, that you're from New York. I mean, what else can amaze you, you know? Because New York is like the capital of the world, I think, sometimes. And it is like a dream for other people to know New York, you know? Actually, it's one of my dreams to go to New York and be there with the buildings and with the New York life. It is really a dream. So you are coming from there. So I didn't thought that I didn't think that you well, if I think in a New Yorker, I don't know if it is correct to say it like that, will be amazed with tortas ahogadas, you know, and it is cool to see that you are, because I mean, you're part right now from Mexico, because you're living and you're like how do you say you're having fun, or you're having a lot of good times with Mexican people. So do you feel part of Mexico?
I would say the more time I spend in...
You don't need to answer like, yes, I feel... No, it's like a more honest answer.
Honest,
yeah.
More informal? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The more time I spend in Mexico, I feel more part of it for sure, because my girlfriend is Mexican. I spend a lot of time with her family, and I feel like Mexicans are very accepting people, that, you know, they don't care where you're from. A lot of people are curious about, you know, my perspective coming from the United States. But I feel like the more time I spend here, for sure, the more Mexican I feel. I love the traditions here. I love the culture. I think that's something that's really lacking in the United States in a way, is this cultural fabric that you guys have. There is an American culture, but sometimes I question, well, what exactly is it? and then you look at Mexico and all these amazing traditions that you guys have, and this amazing history, especially with food, with weddings, with singing, and for me, I feel more a part of it every day.
That's nice to hear, John. I have a short questionnaire before we move on. Okay. So this is like the Barrio questionnaire, a questionnaire from the neighborhood. And actually, I did this questionnaire to all my previous guests. So are you ready for this short questionnaire? Okay. So first question. What's the name, or what was the name of your neighborhood where you grew up?
I grew up in Fairlawn, New Jersey, and it was a suburb of New York City, so I don't know if there's actually a name for the neighborhood where I grew up, but Fairlawn, it's a town in New Jersey that a lot of people have never heard of.
Okay. So, in 3 words, how could you describe your neighborhood?
Boring, safe, multicultural.
Okay, it's interesting. Why boring?
I think that living in New York City, if you come from New Jersey to New York City, it's just the pace of life is so much quicker. There's so much more to do. A lot of people from New Jersey move to New York for a time period because they want excitement in their life, and then maybe they go back. But looking back on New Jersey, just a lot more boring for me, for sure.
You know, here in Mexico, in the center of Mexico, we have like rivalry between Chilangos and, well, Chilangos versus all over the country. But Estado de Mexico, that it is like the New Jersey, have a rivalry because Chilangos don't want Mexicenses because they say we are like dangerous people, like dirty people and boring people. Do you feel like New York and New Jersey have the same relationship?
I don't think so. I think people in New York City don't really care about people from New Jersey. I think it maybe goes the other way. People in New Jersey think that New York is, the buildings are too big, the people are too rude. But I think people in New York, honestly, are just more into whatever it is they're doing. They're very focused on their careers. They're very focused on traveling, on being worldly people, that they don't care about New Jersey too much, I think.
If there is someone else from New Jersey or from New York, it will be good to know in the comments below, right, how it is the relationship between these two places. Do you feel New York has a rivalry with another city in the U.S.? I think Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, there's definitely a rivalry between New York and Los Angeles. The big part always is LA says they have better weather. New York says we have more to do, we have more people, we have more culture. And then a smaller rivalry in sports between New York and Boston, because the New York Yankees versus the Red Sox, the Jets versus the Patriots in football. And then on a much smaller scale, you could say New York versus Philadelphia in some sports as well. I don't know if there's one huge rivalry. It might be New York versus LA if I had to pick just one.
The cities from Texas don't play a rivalry in the U.S. attention. I mean, they don't want to be like in the spotlight.
I don't know too much about Texas. I actually think Austin is an amazing city, but I don't really think people compare New York to Dallas per se. I think Dallas might compare itself more to another city in Texas, like Houston perhaps, or New Orleans or something in the South. But I think to compare New York to anything in the United States, you probably have to compare it to the second largest city, LA. At least that's the way I see it.
And I am asking you these things because a Mexican is always like thinking that his place is better than others. I mean, if you know a Regio from Monterrey, they will say, Monterrey is the best city in the world. And actually, if you ask to the people of Guadalajara, they will say, oh, Guadalajara is much nicer, it's cleaner, it's quiet. And when you ask to a Chilango, they will say, "Now, man, we're the capital. We have everything here." And I don't know. That's why I am like asking you those things, thinking like a Mexican. But I don't know. Maybe you don't even care at all which is the best city in the U.S. And it is good, you know, because it is too. How do you say? It is too boring to be competing every time. Which is the best city in Mexico? Which is the best? Which place has the beautiful girls and stuff like that? No, it is boring, but it is like part of being Mexican. We are always arguing about that. Do you feel like that? Have you ever heard about a discussion between Mexicans that I'm better? No, you're better.
I've definitely noticed Mexicans comparing their cities a lot. I think, at least from my perspective, I don't really compare New York to other places. I don't know if the average American is really doing that. The only real place I've ever seen that kind of comparison is with sports. It's the only time I've seen people comparing cities, you know, Boston versus New York, something like that. But to me, I'm not really thinking about other cities. I like to look at like what each city has to offer me.
Well, that's a thing we need to learn about you. So, within the neighborhood where you grew up, which role did you play? I mean, where you were the bully guy, you were the handsome, the shy, the sports star. Which role did you play in your neighborhood?
I think I was just the quiet kid. I don't think people really noticed me too much. I don't think people really liked me or disliked me. I also have a twin brother, so I think if you were to ask anybody in my school in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, what do you remember about Jon Barr? The first thing they would say is, oh, he's a Barr twin. He has a twin brother. So I don't know if I had one of those typical like American jock or nerd, descriptions of me.
Okay. But, I mean, when did you, or I don't know, are you a different person right now? I will say probably yes. When did you change?
I would say what gave me a lot more confidence in my life actually was when I went to college. I discovered radio, which is why I love doing this podcast interview. I think radio gave me a lot of confidence to speak up for myself, to voice my opinion, to develop my personality more. And then eventually I did some television stuff. So I would still say that, deep down I'm a shy person, but I'm a shy person who is not afraid to talk to other people, when I feel the need to, when I feel the urge. But deep down I'm shy.
Okay. It is good to know because I feel you in your videos very confident. Like, that you actually, I don't know if you read about the place where you stay, but sometimes I heard like, oh man, that's a fun fact that someone Mexican should tell him. Oh man, quiero ofrecer una disculpa, están pasando ambulancias, pero son parte de los sonidos del barrio que me encanta que haya en este podcast. Entonces, continuemos con la entrevista. I was apologizing because of the noise. So, the next Barriera question. Which is your favorite street food? American and Mexican?
Ooh, this is such a good question. I would say my favorite American street food would be a really good falafel, which New York City has tons of. A falafel with hummus, something like that. Oh, in New York, excellent. I wouldn't consider pizza street food because you have to go inside to get it, but you can get falafels on the street.
It's because I don't know what is that. What is that?
It's like a pita with meat. It's very Middle Eastern. I don't know if they have it here. Maybe it's called shawarma here. In Europe, it's called shawarma. In the U.S., it's called falafel. But late at night, with some vegetables and some sauce, some tahini sauce, it's really good. I mean, Mexico, I have to go with tacos. I have to go with tacos al pastor. if you find just the right place to make it, just a little bit of spicy salsa, I'm in heaven. Like late at night, I'm in heaven with that.
Wow. That's the next question. But I think you already respond that. But anyway, spicy or not spicy?
Not spicy, but my tolerance for spice has gone up a lot in the last year of traveling to Mexico a lot and experimenting with different types of salsa. Now I can even handle some of the really spicy salsa. If I put just a little bit on my taco, I'm okay. The problem is when I put too much by accident, then I might have to run somewhere.
Do you have like a special situation with the spicy here in Mexico? I mean, did you eat a lot of salsa or chile that you, I don't know, cry or stuff like that?
I don't know if I've ever cried. I think one time I was with Adriana's family at a restaurant, and normally she taught me that I always need to put a little bit of salsa on the plate, put your finger there and sample it and try it and see if you can handle it. And this one time I forgot to do it, so I took a chip and I dipped it in this really spicy salsa, and I took a bite, and my mouth just started to get really hot. I started to get a little teary, and I think luckily I had a beer in front of me, and I must have chugged a quarter of the bottle just to feel better. That was the one time ever where if I didn't have a drink in front of me, I don't know what I would have done.
I remember that near to my house, near to my place, back in Mexico City, when I went out with my friends to hang out, have some beers, I always have like a taco place to go because the salsa were so spicy that my drunk me was away. I mean, yeah, it was like spicy a lot. The la borrachera, it was over. The drunkenness went out. So I love spicy food, but let me tell you something. I started to love spicy food a few years ago just because spicy made me feel more Mexican. And I started to rediscover my Mexican-ness. I don't know if it is correct to say in that way. My Mexican vibe within the food, the places to go. And I have a strange relationship with spicy food, yeah. The next question, tacos o quesadillas?
Tacos, although I prefer my quesadillas con queso, no sin queso, como un chilango. I even did a funny video about this. But I think the reason I like tacos more is because, especially in Mexico, I have found so many good taco spots. I feel like I can get a decent quesadilla in the United States, but to find a good taco in New York City is like mission impossible. I did a whole video about this, and we went to 5 different taco places in New York, and there was one that Adriana and I agreed would be okay in Mexico. Just one that we went to, and we went through all the ratings. Now, granted, I've heard that there's other cities in the U.S. that do Mexican food well, like, you know, in Texas and in Southern California. For whatever reason, it is tough to find a good taco in New York City.
I think because there are a lot of, you are far from Mexico in a geographic position. And I don't know if there are a lot of Mexicans as in Texas or as Southern California. I think there are more like Puerto Ricans and I don't know which other country.
New York City definitely has a high population of Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, even some Cubans and Guatemala, Central America. I mean, really, Colombia, everything. There's a Mexican population, but it's nowhere near as big as, let's say, Chicago or LA or South Texas.
Yeah. So, yesterday, you was in a live stream, and you said that you want to argue about quesadillas with queso or without queso. This is the place, and because I'm a Chilango. So, what do you think about that madness?
Well, it's tough because, I mean, the word quesadilla, I suppose, has cheese in it, knowing my Spanish. I'm used to quesadillas having cheese. I find it strange that they have to ask you with or without cheese. I realize that it is a big part of the fabric of Mexico City. So I'm perfectly fine in Mexico City, I suppose, ordering it without cheese. I won't get mad, but there is no way you could convince me that a quesadilla should not have cheese. There's no way you can do it.
I know, and actually I have a theory, but I don't know if I can make it in English right now because it is kind of confusing even for me. But like an overview is, I think, is because of the madness of Mexico City, the fast life, the city life. I mean, I think it is like the origin of that mistake in that dish. But well, that was my short Barrio questionnaire. Quiero ofrecer otra disculpa. Está pasando otra ambulancia. Esperemos que en la ciudad no haya pasado nada grave, porque ha habido muchas ambulancias estos últimos días. Quién sabe qué pase. Pero bueno, continuamos aquí con Jon. Jon, you actually hit 20K on YouTube in just 1 year. Is that correct?
Actually, a year and a half, but yeah, but still, yeah, I'm very fortunate that enough people supported my videos, and it's not just my audience in Mexico. I actually had a lot of people watching my stuff in New York. In fact, I've had some Mexicans write me on Instagram saying, "Oh, it's amazing you're in my city right now because I'm watching your New York videos because I'm planning a trip to New York." And I said, "Wow, well, we have a cool trade because I'm loving Mexico just as much." But yeah, it's been really cool. I love making those YouTube videos, and you know, every milestone makes me happier, and it makes me want to work harder to create an audience and, you know, make people happy.
Do you feel like famous people? I mean, in Mexico, have you ever found people that want to take a picture with you or recognize you?
I've only been recognized, I think, once in Mexico, and it's a funny story because I was in Merida for 2 months, and a large population of my viewers in Merida were retired gringos, essentially, because Merida has a very up-and-coming retired population. So I was walking in a supermarket, and this older, I think she was American lady, looked at me and she said, "Hi, how are you?" And I looked at Adriana and I thought, how did she know I speak English? Because I guess people sometimes think I'm Mexican, sometimes think I'm not Mexican. I look kind of ambiguous. And she said, "Yeah, I watched your videos, you know, you did a good job." But I really haven't been recognized that often. I think once in New York, once or twice in Mexico, not too often, and I'm fine with that. I don't need celebrity. If someone wants to come and say hi to me, I'll be happy to talk to them, but it's not something I need.
Okay, no, but I mean, if someone recognizes you at Mexico City, it's like to find a needle in a haystack, you know? And it is kind of like an overview of what you're going, of where you're going. I mean, I think you should get used to Mexican fans or global fans. I mean, wherever you go. But I think it is good to hear the growing of a channel, because there are some channels that right now are like insane, like very famous, and most of them started as you are right now. And I feel happy when some good creator get the spotlight, because I think YouTube is full of bullshit most of the time, and I think we need good creators, people that do good things, you know. I think we need that, and I think your content is helping other people maybe that will come to Mexico, is helping Mexicans to realize how beautiful is the country, is helping you to create some good memories for your, I don't know, when you're an old person. So tell us about, when do you decided to do this? I mean, you were sleeping and you woke up and you said today is the day, or how was that process to open your channel, and most of that decided to travel around the world?
It's an excellent question. People have asked me that before, and I can tell you the exact moment that I decided to open a YouTube channel, and it all scales back to when I was a broadcaster. I enjoyed telling stories. I enjoyed speaking to a camera, to a microphone, and I was a sportscaster for 10 years, and I stopped doing it. I was trying to get to this national level as a TV broadcaster doing sports, and I got close a few times, but it never happened, and I just decided if I don't reach a certain level, by a certain point, I'm going to stop. So for 1 year, I wasn't broadcasting, and
It was a personal decision.
yeah, it was a personal decision to stop. I could have continued. I was working for a TV station. I decided to leave, and I had this big void. I needed something creative in my life. I really felt like a real hole that needed to be filled. And one day, I was on a travel blog because I was still traveling, and somebody posted a video by a very famous creator named Casey Neistat. Do you know who he is?
Sorry.
Casey Neistat?
No.
He's probably the #1 vlogger in the world, at least from the United States. He's not necessarily a travel vlogger, but he travels a lot. And somebody posted one of his videos where he was ranting about losing his status with American Airlines. And the way he created this video, he had music, he had cuts, he was the focal point. And as I watched this, I thought to myself, wow, there's this medium out there where you can make this sort of video, because at that point, this was spring of 2016, I only watched YouTube for music videos. That was it. I never watched content about travel. I never watched anything with music, or maybe movies or scenes from movies. And when I saw this, I had this light bulb moment. I thought, wait a minute. I don't know how to film, and I don't really know how to edit, but I've been on camera before, and I love to travel. I've got this big trip coming up to Spain. This was maybe 1 month before my trip. I went to Spain in May of 2016. So I thought to myself, I'm going to buy camera equipment, I'm going to learn to edit, and I'm going to do this all before I get to Spain. And literally my first vlog ever was awful, and I still have it on my channel, but don't watch, please. Or do watch if you want to laugh. And my first vlog ever was me going to Spain, and I started that summer, that May, and I have not stopped since, like 180 videos later.
Please don't delete it. I mean, it will be a good memory for you to don't forget where you came from. So
I won't.
it is okay. So it is interesting. And do you think this may stop one day?
Yeah, I mean, it might. I don't know how long I'm going to do this for. I'm loving it right now. It's become an incredible way to show people the world. You made me think a little bit before with something you said, because you told me what you're doing is nice because you're showing people from outside of Mexico a lot of positives about visiting here and about living here. But something that I didn't realize was my audience has grown so much from Mexicans who are just curious about what I have to say and who want to help me. I think that has been the biggest surprise on my channel, at least in the last few months as I've grown a lot, is the amount of Mexicans who have commented, I think you should do this, I think you should do that, because guess what? I'm listening to these suggestions and they are telling me things that I had no idea about.
So yeah, that happens a lot with the travel bloggers. I actually yesterday I heard you say that Filipinos behave in the same way. When you say about something positive about Filipinos, your views or your numbers grow up.
Big time,
Yeah, and I think something happens kind of the same here in Mexico. But and actually, I know that Kinetic Cannons and the New Traveler, I also watch their blogs, and I think they're doing a good job, especially because Mexico City is It's a city that it is like, I don't know how to say, stigmatized, around the country because they don't want to be there. I think something happens the same with New York. I don't know. Oh, it is crowded. It is full of noise, stuff like that. And their creations or their video, I think they're helping a lot of Mexicans that they can visit Mexico City, and it is a good idea. And I think it is happening with your videos. I don't know, you said it before, that Guadalajara needs more attention because it is like under Mexico City and under Monterrey sometimes. But man, I mean, Guadalajara is beautiful. That is why called La Perla de Occidente, the Western Pearl, because I think it deserves that name. No? What do you think about Guadalajara?
I think that Guadalajara has impressed me probably more than any city I've gone to in Mexico. Maybe because my expectations were so low, not to say that I thought Guadalajara was a bad place. I just didn't really know anybody from here. I didn't have much to base my opinion off of, so I came in here completely with an open mind. And my favorite thing about Guadalajara so far is the people. I think they've been really warm to me, very friendly, and I'm not just talking about YouTube viewers, although them too. Just the people in general here have a nice vibe. I made this joke in one of my first videos about Guadalajara. I said, why don't people honk their horns as much here? In Mexico City, all you hear are cars honking, and here I hear there's less traffic, there's less people, there's less pollution. And I'm not saying I don't like Mexico City because I love that city a lot, but for me, coming from New York City and spending almost 6 weeks in Mexico City last year, Guadalajara has been this perfectly, how do I say this? Because it's big enough where I have so many things to explore, but it's also small enough where I don't feel overwhelmed like I did in Mexico City all the time.
Actually, I feel the same because I'm from Mexico City, and I have been living here about 2 years ago. So that I'm actually don't know Guadalajara at all, or many places I need to know. And I get you when you said that it is like a middle city. It's not that big, but it's not that small. And I think it is a good place to live. It is a good place to work. It is a good place to hang out, and it is a good place to rediscover Mexico, because I think Guadalajara or Jalisco is like I don't know if this example could tell you, or did you get it? It's like a short peel or a peel about what Mexicans are. It's like a short, it's like a little Mexico, Jalisco, because here is the tequila, here is the mariachi, here is the colorful towns, here is like so many Mexican things that are placed here in Guadalajara, and it is a beautiful place to be, to know, as you said, and it is also very sport city. Yes, it is correct. There are a lot of sports here. A lot of good athletes that represents Mexico are from this place, and it is interesting. Yeah, and also they say that Jalisco has the more beautiful girls in the country. But I don't know if you think that. Well, I mean, we both have girlfriends or wife, but do you think the same? Do you think that Guadalajara has the beautiful girls? I don't want to say the most beautiful girls, but do you think that Guadalajara has beautiful girls?
Is Adriano listening to this podcast? Yes. Shout out to Adriano listening to my answer right now. I absolutely think that Guadalajara has very attractive women. Saying that from somebody who has a girlfriend, not someone who's looking, but yes, I have certainly noticed it being here for a month that the female population is very attractive. Absolutely agree.
Yeah. There's a place upstairs of Guadalajara called Los Altos de Jalisco. There are geographical area that they have they are famous because they have the most beautiful girls in Jalisco, and they say it's because many French people live there, and they combine with the, I don't know how to say, the Amish people.
Amazon? Oh, no.
Menonitas, I don't know.
Amish Mennonite, yeah.
And so that's why they are white people over there, and it is crazy, man. So where do you wanna go with this blog, with this live? What do you wanna where do you wanna stop? When is like the final milestone when you say, when I reach this, that's my thing? Or I don't know, when do you want to stop? What thing will make you stop?
I don't know if there's a specific accomplishment I'm looking for. I can't tell you once I get to 1 million subscribers, which will probably never happen. I just think I want to do this as long as I find it fun, as long as I have a reason to vlog. I don't know if I'm going to be traveling so much forever. I wouldn't be afraid to branch out into other topics. If I'm living in one city for a long time, maybe I'll talk about that city a lot. I have other things I could discuss on my channel as well, outside of travel one day perhaps. Even like men's topics, maybe one day. Haven't really done that yet. But I just don't think there's one accomplishment that I would say, you know what, I've gone as far as I can with his YouTube channel. If anything, the more I grow, the more I want to continue.
I know. And I think it is a good answer, because you're having fun. And I don't know if you get worried about the numbers, and I don't know if you are obsessed, like checking your graphics and the numbers. But as long as you have fun, I think it is good to continue and to go ahead. Are you obsessed with the numbers sometimes? With the views or subscribers?
I think any YouTuber that tells you he's not obsessed with the numbers, half lying. Yeah, I'm not. You know what? I am mildly refresh. There's something on YouTube where you can check your real-time statistics. So a lot of times I'll go to my computer, especially when I just published a video. I'm always very curious about that first hour, because I think every creator is the most anxious when you just published a vlog. You think to yourself, is anybody going to watch this? And if I have low numbers in the first hour, I start to second guess myself. Did I use a bad thumbnail? Did I use a bad title? Was this a controversial video? Was this a stupid video? But lately in Mexico, for whatever reason, my stuff's been doing really well. So I don't have a number I shoot for, but I would like to be less obsessed with statistics, but I definitely care a lot about the numbers. And sometimes, and I admit to Adriano this is bad, sometimes I almost feel like I'm in a better mood when I've had a video that took off that day, which is not a good thing. That's something I'm trying to work on, that I just want to be happy with creating something that even helps one person. But to be honest, yes, I do look at the numbers, and I do sometimes feel a stronger sense of gratification, be it right or wrong, when a video does well.
Yeah, I know. I think that everyone that creates something for the internet is in that game. So, John, I will tell you some words in Spanish, and you will tell me what do you think. The first thing that gets into your mind. And I hope it is a good exercise for you to know what are you thinking about right now.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay. Comida.
Food?
Yeah.
Oh, like what? So define the word, or what do I think about comida?
What do you think about
comida in general? I think food is such a great part of finding out more about any culture, and I think in Mexico, you guys have some of the best food ever, to the point where when I go back to the USA, I feel bad eating Mexican food in New York because I know that it is a lot of times nowhere near as good as it is in Mexico, and I just feel bad eating it. But there is this one taco truck near my apartment, and they're Mexicans, and they do a great job, but they're using American meat, and it just doesn't taste the same. But yeah, food is everything, yeah.
Airplanes.
An excellent method to travel. Not my favorite method of travel, though, because I don't like turbulence, but I think you need airplanes to explore the world. So absolutely one of the greatest inventions and creations in the last 100 years. An underrated city that deserves a heck of a lot more attention in Mexico, and hoping in the next month we're going to get Guadalajara more attention in the United States.
USA.
An amazing multicultural place that people seem to either love or hate. I love my country, and I think that more people need to realize that there's many Americans out there who are very open-minded about other cultures and about seeing the world, and don't be afraid to make friends with Americans.
New York.
Greatest city ever. I'm a little bit biased, of course, because I live there and I grew up very close to there. There's pretty much nothing that is lacking about New York as far as if you want to do something and you had to be in one city in the world, you could find just about anything in New York, just about any food, just about any culture, just about any type of person. New York is an attack on all of your senses, but it's just this incredible place.
Mexico.
Probably my favorite country outside of the United States. I think Mexico sometimes has a bad reputation, especially to the average American who's never visited here. I think the Mexican people are some of the warmest, some of the kindest spirits I've ever met before. And this is the sort of country where I could definitely see myself spending a lot of time in the next 5 to 10 years, especially because my girlfriend is from here, her family's from here, and I speak decent enough Spanish where I can get by. Adriana, oh, this is tough. I mean, she's been my girlfriend for 2 years now, and she's definitely one of the most incredible people I've ever met, and I'm very happy to have her in my life, and she's been through a lot with me, so yeah, she's just one of the best people ever.
2 more.
Sure. YouTube is this amazing platform where anybody can state their opinions. I think that the YouTube has helped the world more than it's hurt the world. I think there are some channels out there that maybe are creating content that I don't necessarily agree with, but I think on the average, YouTube has given people like me the opportunity to have this audience where I can express my opinions and my message, and even 5 years ago, I don't think I could have had an audience this big.
Members of the Barrio.
Members of the Barrio. Members of the Barrio is a nickname I gave to the viewers of my channel. It's actually a contest I had. One of my creator friends gave me the idea. He won my contest. I sent him and his kid a postcard. But anyway, I'd like to think members of the Barrio are people who are very similar to me. I think that if you watch my channel, you must think you would get along with me. You must have some similar opinions, being open-minded to visiting countries, to meeting new people, to experiencing other cultures, other ways of life, to never saying that you truly know a place until you actually go there yourself.
Wow, that was sick. You gave a lot of good answers, and it was so fun to chat with you, Jon. Shout out to Adriana that she couldn't come, but I think you guys been doing great, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the time here in Guadalajara or in Mexico. Go and travel the world and let us know the best stories that your eyes can see. Muchas gracias a la gente de nosotros el barrio Les agradecemos, esperemos que este podcast haya sido entretenido. Vayan a ver el canal de Jon, es Be Barr, en YouTube, en Twitter, Be Barr también, en Facebook, Be Barr también, ¿alguna otra red? Instagram.
Here.be.bar, same thing.
Here.be.bar, yeah. And acuérdense que nosotros el barrio tenemos también nuestras redes sociales, nosotroselbarrio.com, en Instagram @nosotroselbarrio, en Twitter como @WeElBarrio, WE-el-barrio, en Facebook como nosotros como el barrio, y queremos escuchar sus opiniones. A lo mejor mi inglés estuvo horrible, háganmelo saber si a lo mejor ya mejor me dedico a otra cosa, o díganos qué les pareció. Un saludo a la señora productora que hizo posible la realización de este podcast. Saludos al Manu y bienvenidos todos los podcasts que se están agregando al sitio nosotroselbarrio.com. Les agradecemos que nos hayan escuchado y nos escuchamos en el podcast número 41. Acuérdense que juntos somos nosotros el barrio.
Nosotros el barrio. Nosotros, el barrio. El barrio somos nosotros. Tú, yo, él, ella, ustedes, ellos. Somos todos. Todos somos nosotros el barrio.
Aquí todos caben, aquí todos pueden caminar por nuestras calles. Nosotros, el barrio.
Muchas gracias por escuchar y descargar este podcast. Mil gracias más si lo has compartido y te has suscrito a todas nuestras redes. Nosotros el barrio te lo agradecemos y te respaldamos. Hasta la próxima.